Hey there, real briefly, just bite-sized little snippet. I wanted to speak real briefly on the guilt of how you parented in the beginning, and a tip about how to more consistently experience peaceful communication with your child. So the first thing I wanted to share is that you are the leader of your home. Your energy is the leader of your home. Your energy is the leader of your home. You are going to continue to notice that the more calm and at peace you are within yourself, the more calm and at peace your home feels, and the more that starts to affect your interactions with your children as well. So you are going to continue to experience that more and more in real time with your children. And even in moments where your children may be arguing or flipping out or having a meltdown, you will still start to notice the more that you continue to prioritize your peace, your inner peace, using literal action steps that actually help you to prioritize your peace and prioritize releasing tension and stress from the body throughout the day. The more this continues to be a literal priority and action step in your life, you are going to notice that even when your children are having a meltdown and a tantrum, they will still, you will still notice the difference. You will still notice that it's happening in what is felt to be a safe space, right? Leading to tantrums and meltdowns, not lasting as long as they would if we were not prioritizing our peace, therefore not really having any peace, balance, or harmony to add to that situation. Right? So your inner peace or your energy is the leader of your home. The more aware you are of your energy from moment to moment, the more you are able to kind of tell your future. You can kind of gauge the way the rest of the night is going to flow for you and your fam if you're in tune with your energy and how you're feeling. And if you notice that you're feeling kind of off, low vibe, that puts you in a very empowered position to sit with that however feels best for you, to process that, to hold space for that, and then to consciously and intentionally choose the type of energy you want to give to the remainder of your evening. If you notice when you're doing a little energetic check-in that you feel amazing, then you can kind of, the rest of your night's probably going to go amazingly. And it's an opportunity for you to show gratitude, to feel genuinely grateful that you feel good, right? The other thing I wanted to stop in and speak about was also how if we had a very traumatic and stressful childhood, that can impact our parenting, right? One of the ways that can impact our parenting uh, specifically is when we started our parenting journey, a lot of the way we started it may be ways that bring about mom guilt. So if you experienced a traumatic childhood, then it's, even though you may have had good intentions to not spank, not scream, etc., when you had your own child, you may have noticed some of those patterns came up anyways. Why? Not because you're a monster, not because you're a bad parent, but because we were programmed and conditioned a particular way as children. And so it comes as first nature to repeat what was done to us sometimes, right? And so what can happen is you can realize that and then gain the clarity that you don't want to continue those habits anymore. And then you can actually start to take action steps to reparent and learn different patterns and habits and parent more from your peace. And then what can happen is you can tend to feel mom guilt because the children you have after your first one tend to be being raised in a more peaceful home environment versus what your first child or first couple children may have experienced. And so that can lead us to think, was that all a waste? Was all the time with my first child, was it a waste because I wasn't parenting the way that I felt I needed to, that I feel would have been best, right? No, it wasn't a waste. You learned. We're not robots. We're not here to be perfect on the relative level. We are perfectly made, absolutely speaking. But as far as life is concerned, we're learning and we're growing constantly. We're not robots. We're not here to be perfect. And there, you learned so much from your first child, and that gave you so much clarity about how you wanted to parent. And that helped you become who you are now. Also, so now you're way more wise because of that experience than you would be without having experienced that. And so also your firstborn got to see that transformation is really possible, that is such a huge thing to be able to witness. You know, people can talk all day long about transformation is possible. It's possible for you to change, yada, yada, yada. But for your child to literally see that it was possible because they're aware of how you reacted and how you were when they were younger, and then they've watched you evolve. Not only did they watch you, they are benefiting directly from your evolution and your transformation. So your firstborn gets to see and experience firsthand that no matter what life throws his way, his or her way, he is going to always be more prone to knowing with conviction that transformation is possible because he watched you do it. Okay. So it's very easy for us to beat ourselves up about who we were and how we parented at the beginning of our parenting journey. It all happened for us, for our growth, for our learning, and so that we could with clarity choose who we would be consciously and intentionally moving forward. Okay. So that's one of the pros to the past, is that it helped us gain the wisdom from experience that we now have. And so, yeah, if any of you are experiencing any type of like feeling very guilty about the past, here's an affirmation for you. If you want to use it as an affirmation a few times out the day, or if you just want to hear it now. I am building us up as a family more and more each day, each moment. I am being the parent I have always wanted to be now. So again, I am building us up as a family more and more each day, each moment. I am being the parent I have always wanted to be now. Right? And the other thing I wanted to speak on was one way to experience more peaceful communication with your child as an action step, something that we can literally put into place. That's number one, being aware of when you are speaking to yourself negatively. Setting the intention to be more aware. If you are struggling with communicating with your toddler, school-age child, or teen in a peaceful way, if you are struggling with being able to, if you find it very difficult to communicate peacefully, or if you find that you're only able to communicate peacefully if they're communicating peacefully, and you have a desire to parent more, to communicate peacefully regardless, just always, you just feels better on your nervous system, and it just feels more resonant with who you are to just be peaceful and to just communicate peacefully, then this is for you. Have fun testing it. Test it out. Don't take my word for it. Just test it out, right? Number one is to set the intention to be more aware of when you are speaking to yourself negatively. From this moment forward, set the intention to be more aware of when you're speaking to yourself negatively in your mind. Just through your awareness of it, even through your awareness of it, it's going to reduce how often you speak to yourself negatively. You are the awareness of your thoughts. And when you look at or are aware of the negative chatter happening, it has less of a grip on your nervous system. You're less identified with it because you're aware of it. When you're not aware, basically the emotions and all that stuff that accompany those negative thoughts kind of take over your body, right? And it can send us down a dark rabbit hole. So if you really want to experience more peaceful communication with your child, then set the intention to be more aware of when you're speaking to yourself negatively. Because the less you speak to yourself negatively, the more peaceful your communication is with yourself, the more peaceful you feel within yourself, the more you're going to have that to share in communication with others, right? Step two is practicing to then be optimistic and compassionate towards yourself. Literally, I'm advocating for talking to yourself. That's right. Literally start practicing talking to yourself as if you're a sweet, innocent toddler. If there's a sweet, innocent toddler version of you, start talking to that version of you. When you start to notice yourself talking to yourself in a very mean way, practice being aware of it and then speaking to yourself compassionately or peacefully. or calling BS on those negative thoughts in a very kind way, like, whoa, that's garbage. That's something that I learned and picked up after I was born, and I don't want to subscribe to that anymore, right? Start practicing to speak to yourself in a more kind, optimistic, compassionate, positive way. And if that feels like a reach, that's understandable. It was for me in the beginning. Start small and just start being aware of when you're speaking to yourself negatively, and just make that a practice and notice. And after a few days of that, you'll notice that you're having more peaceful interactions with those in your environment. Peaceful communication on the inside with yourself, um, giving less energy and attention. You know how sometimes you can be having a whole conversation happening with somebody in your mind, like maybe you're about to see your child and you're already foreshadowing a potential conversation you may have with them, so you've already kind of started having the conversation with them in the argument in your head and it's not even really happening. Noticing that, giving yourself permission to be more aware of those type of negative, argumentative, power struggle type conversations that go on in our mind, instead of letting them just run on and on and on and on. Become more aware of it. Watch it. Don't feed it your energy, and don't feed it your energy anymore by getting involved with it. And this is going to help tremendously with us reducing those patterns in real life with our children.